What's up boys, we have Record of Ragnarok chapter 108 featuring the walkout between the round 12 fighters, which is now 100% confirmed to be Kintoki representing humanity and Odin representing the gods. All the theories about Anubis somehow getting a fight, Odin baiting everyone, is indeed not the case. This is Record of Ragnarok round 12, and the focus of this entire chapter is mostly Kintoki's walkout, him pretty much interacting with all of humanity. This includes various characters watching pretty much all the other 11 rounds prior, the reveal of his Valkyrie alongside his Volund as well. On top of that, we have a Brunhilde and Zeus interaction, which is pretty interesting and may mean some stuff for the future of the story. And of course, the arrival of Odin to the arena, meaning we have a lot of stuff to break down and talk about in today's Record of Ragnarok chapter breakdown. I hope you enjoy, let's get into it. So boys, right off the bat, this is the new magazine cover page, once again confirming the Kintoki and Odin matchup, them looking at one another, smiling menacingly. This is probably going to be similar to the official volume cover as well, so goated stuff without a doubt. And apparently the leaks or the full chapter came out this early, from what I've heard, is due to someone within the main leakers group leaking it early, then it was posted on the Reddit, and then the mods promoted it even more. I've seen the chapter on TikTok, I've seen it on Twitter, the chapter's pretty much everywhere. Apparently it wasn't meant to come out this early, but did due to some leaker beef, the leakers leaking, the leakers leak, something like that. I don't know exactly, but that's why we had the chapter so early, and there seems to be some controversy around how it came out. But in regards to the chapter itself, we get confirmation that the arena seems to be quite normal, no unique arena for this matchup, which I do believe is the best option. And as many of you know, right now humanity is in the lead, which has led to the very common prediction from the majority of people who read Record of Ragnarok that Odin is going to be the winner of this round, to put the scores back at a draw and then lead into potentially the final round, or some other wild stuff occurring, with more people in a recent poll actually voting for a draw more than the likes of Kintoki winning. But right after that, we see some of the human fighters and spectators' reaction to the current situation, such as Sasaki Masashi Miyamoto and his Valkyrie, some people from Jack the Ripper's flashback, Buddha's flashback, Jack himself, and of course, Best Girl. But throughout this entire chapter, once again, we do not see Huang. This is by far the longest time we've had to wait for a human victor or simply a victor in the tournament to return, but it's been, I believe, over 40 chapters since he's made an appearance, and I was expecting it in this chapter, particularly considering what we get next, so it's absolutely wild. We see her, we see him, but still no Huang. Can't believe it. But some of the gods, the likes of Apollo, who's insanely bandaged up, a reminder that Shiva has now healed all of his arms. We saw this in a previous round already, but bro seems to be 100% after his wild fight against Raiden. Thor still vibing. I do hope he plays some role in commentating for this round. I was personally hoping he would say more during the previous with Loki fighting Simo, but all we got was this reaction after he was defeated by the White Death. So maybe this time we would get more. He had that prior situation where he stopped Odin from throwing hands with Buddha and Beelzebub and kinda threatened him to some degree. Goated stuff for the Norse god, but some insight about him and Odin's relationship would be pretty interesting. But technically speaking, Odin should want to actually kill Thor as well, alongside all the other gods. Bro doesn't care about anyone outside of the primordials, as we saw in his original flashback. Following that, we get the start of Kintoki's walkout, which begins with the likes of Buddha, pretty much where we left off in the previous chapter, with the reveal of his weapon. We're not sure whether it's a divine weapon, but the size of the axe is absolutely insane. And I might as well mention it now. The translations for the final panel was actually adjusted sometime over the last month. It now features Kintoki claiming, "Odin, I'm gonna kill him because him and me each have the same endgame." A claim that is quite different to the original, so I'm not sure whether this was an adjustment based on clarity or accuracy, but that seems to be the more updated version, with it being important to note that all these translations for the last few rounds are just fan translations, as the official physical Viz release is only up to the Huang and Hades fight at the current minute. The anime, when it releases in December, is going to be more canon when it comes to translations, as that is more of an official source than what we currently have for the English version of the story up to this point. So keep that in mind for the last few rounds, and there may be some changes with specific dialogue and claims for the power scaling community as well. But coming back to Kintoki, a main focus of his walkout is him interacting with pretty much all the human spectators and relevant characters from the previous fights. For example, we see the scientists from Tesla's era, we see the various characters involved with Leonidas, Lu Bu, Raiden, and Eve as well, alongside Adam's sons. Goated stuff to be featured in Kintoki's walkout. It does give me Final Fight vibes, I'm not gonna lie, with some people in the stream going over all this stuff, claiming that this reminds them of Bucky's scene after he won the Maximum tournament at the end of the first manga series, Grappler Baki, where everyone was paying their respects to him as the champion. A similar situation here with Kintoki, with the legacy of Tesla being brought forward once again, Eve and Adam's children, and of course one of the most goated panels of all time making an appearance, highlighting the influence on Adam's defeat, similar to Tesla's as well. Their defeats or impact at the ends of their rounds definitely had the most impact on humanity, and that is demonstrated right here with Kintoki's walkout. So this was absolutely a great approach, and we do get some lore about Kintoki which relates to his real life mythology many people know well. I'm not sure at the current minute how much of this is going to exactly relate to what Kintoki is going to represent in this fight against Odin and his depiction in Ragnarok, but there has been some subtle mentions. If you have more insight about Kintoki, feel free to leave some comments down below. We also get some information about his axe, which then leads us to the reveal of his Valkyrie. So 100% confirmation that Kintoki's Valkyrie is not Brunhilde or Gol, it's the final Valkyrie we have yet to be revealed. Based on some rough translations people provided me in the stream recently, apparently her name connects to an axe, so her Valkyrie ability based on these panels likely connects to Kintoki's axe, making it more powerful. We don't have full translations yet. I do personally hope it does provide some other aspects, as Kintoki honestly is going to need a lot more if he's going to stand a chance against Odin, the main villain of pretty much the entire Ragnarok story. But design wise, I have no problems with Kintoki's Valkyrie. It is very similar to many others, but this does confirm that our boy Rasputin is going to be paired with either Brunhilde or Gol, which is pretty interesting and honestly unexpected. If you were to tell me 3-4 years ago when I first started making Record of Ragnarok videos on the regular that Rasputin was going to be paired with maybe the protagonist of the entire series, Brunhilde, I would say you're tripping, but right now it is pretty much 50-50 possibility, with most people predicting that Gol was going to be paired up with Nostradamus. But in regards to what's going to happen with the final fights, we can't really say at the current minute. Anything is possible in the current state of the Ragnarok story. Following that with the whole volume scene, which I am glad actually occurred before the fight actually begun, we have Zeus pulling up on Brunhilde for the first time, and apparently some rough translations of this page is Zeus warning Brunhilde of Odin's strength, questioning her on the topic of whether or not she believes she can actually defeat the supreme god Odin, where she seemingly reveals that Kintoki was chosen for the sole purpose of defeating Odin, which is once again insane hype for humanity's fighter. And then we cut back to the volume, which seems to be a complete and greatly enhances his axe. Once again, I hope it has some other unique abilities, but the size and power probably got enhanced to a wild degree. So all things considered, I think Kintoki is going to be an absolute monster, and regardless of people's predictions, this fight is likely going to be insanely close. But my current prediction is on Odin, which brings us to his walkout. From the sky, a black mist seems to go around the arena, and Odin looks like he's flying down with some wings. It could very well be his birds allowing him to fly down. A wild entrance that has Buddha and Brunhilde somewhat worried and is quite badass. But based on what's came out so far from the leakers leaking the leaks, you could say, this is the final panel. I'm guessing there's a few more dedicated to Odin's walkout. There's no way the entire chapter is Kintoki's walkout and performing his volume. It is a possibility, but if I had to place my bets, I think there's a few more panels of Odin's walkout and some build up for him. So as a whole, Record of Ragnarok chapter 108 is quite great. No Huang, no Rasputin design reveal once again. There's likely still a few more things to come out, but Kintoki seems like an absolute beast. It does give final round energy considering all the other human fighters and characters being involved in his walkout. Re-mentioning of characters like Tesla and Adam, who had insane speeches and impact on the whole Record of Ragnarok story when they were defeated. But let me know your thoughts on the chapter in the comments down below. Subscribe for more. Make sure to check out this Record of Ragnarok video